All right, awesome. Patrick, thanks for joining. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Patrick Parke, Home Harbor Financial. Been in the industry since 1998. Been licensed in the state of Florida since 2003. The whole state of Florida, focusing on conventional, jumbo, VA, USDA, FHA, you name it. We got about 35 lenders, I think, currently that we're dealing with. So, I'm trying to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, definitely, man. I know we talk a lot, and you've always got great insights, and you seem to have solutions for every issue that I'm dealing with. So
And I
I
try, if
appreciate
not,
you.
I'll try to find one. That's one of the slogan or the motto for the company is creative lending solutions. So I always
Yeah,
like to be a little creative.
good, good. So talk about the state of the unions. Talk about what's going on in the market today. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing it was slow in January and February, at least for us. I'm seeing a tick up. I think people have realized that the rates are going to be the same that they've seen in the last probably 6 months. I mean, we've been floating between a 6.5 all the way up to an 8.5 rate, I guess, for the last, let's just say 12 months. We did have that quick tick up. For for what I forecast, I think we're going to start to see a reduction in interest rates coming forward. I think in probably June, I would say, which I think is concerning because it's going to be a combination of refinances coming and purchases. And I believe from, if I look at this properly, that if we see the rates drop, we're also going to see competition again. And I'm afraid that the people that are sitting on the fence right now saying, "Oh, I want lower rates," they're going to lose some of those incentives that we're seeing right now.
And what are some of those incentives?
So
You told me about some cool things that are out there. I'd love to hear about them
yeah, so
again.
we have government incentives. We have down payment assistance programs that are out there. We're starting to see more down payment assistance programs come available because there's a wealth of money. I mean, I talked to the housing authority in St. Johns County. They have over $4 million right now that they need to use in the next few months. So they're trying to figure out how to do that. So I'm sure they're one
Tell,
county. There's probably others.
tell me about
Uh,
that program again. I know you said it depends on where you're moving from, and
yeah,
so have you given out any of those? Do you have like case studies of?
we have not done any of them yet. We're still working on it because it's unique because you have to live in certain area codes or zip codes in Miami up until Fort Lauderdale, Tampa area, as high as I believe it was Lady Lake or Wesley Chapel, I think was the highest that went up to, and then in Orlando all the way from Sanford down to, oh, I want to say it was oh, just south of Orlando, Lakeland. Thank you.
Lakeland. Hmm.
So those are the areas that have a $10,000 down payment assistance that's non-repayable, which is really cool. So the way I look at it, and it's not income based. You just live in a certain area, and if you qualify based on the area you live in, doesn't matter if you make $1 million or 35,000 a year. It's not income driven. So it's just based on where you live. So I've been trying to target apartment complexes, real estate agents that are sellers in those areas, and just ask them to, hey, give me a heads up if you get somebody that is in Orlando, they may have this opportunity. But that's
And
not
if
really
they're
what I was
moving,
referring
if
to.
they're if they're
Go ahead.
moving to, you're saying if they're moving from those areas to St. John's
Well, they
County.
could. So yeah, if you live in those areas, you can buy a house in New Smyrna Beach or Daytona.
Oh,
Just
okay.
have to live in that spot at the time, and you have to supply a driver's license and a utility bill, and that qualifies you, and that's it.
Wow, wow, really cool.
But what I was referring to on the other one was I'm concerned that if interest rates start to drop, the incentives that we're not going to see is seller incentives. Right now you've probably seen over the last few months that we're now getting sellers that are giving contributions or seller concessions.
Yeah, I have a listing right now that the seller is offering 10,000 towards rate buy down.
Right. So what's going to happen when interest rates go down? We fall into the summer when, you want to move little Johnny from one school to another. All of a sudden we have everybody like we always do that's going to be moving. So we're going to have a situation where it's going to be a seller's market. Those incentives are going to be gone. So you sat on the fence, you could have gone to 7.5% rate, and now you're down to you could get a 6.5%, but you've just lost out on $10,000 in seller concessions. And as I have been posting in social media, is buy the house, rent the rate, which basically means get your house now, get it secured, and then refinance later when the interest rates change.
Right.
That makes
Right.
more sense.
Are you seeing more like first time buyers that are hesitant now, or is
No,
it across the board?
no. My first time home buyers are very active. The problem with first time home buyers that I'm coming up with, they have student loan debt. They have a car that's $500 a month. They make $45,000 a year, and they want to purchase a $300,000 home. And the numbers
So the
just
D
don't make sense.
the DTI is too high, right?
DTIs are way too high. So,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is their credit scores are low. They have medical pills or something's going on that, our first time home buyers aren't as, the credit scores aren't as good as the other ones. So,
Yeah, the last couple of years I think have been tough for the younger generation.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've got the COVID. Now they've got, their, just the student loans, and then they've all got them in forbearance. So then at that point, you're looking at the lenders are either going to be a half or a 1% of whatever's outstanding. And some of these first time home buyers have $60,000-$70,000 in student loan debt. So you're talking about an extra $600 or $700 payment. I mean, that's going to kill you on
Right.
top of the car payment, on top of other stuff. But
Yeah.
there's programs out there for them. We just need to find them a house that's affordable.
Right. Right. So what else? What other kind of things are you encountering on a daily basis that would be interesting?
Well, I mean, I focus a lot on investors. I like to try to help out investors because, as I see it, it's a return a client. They're going to
Yeah.
constantly come back to you and buy another house. So
What do
that's
you
always been my focus.
what do you say to the people who want to become investors but have no clue where to start? Like for instance, um, I have some customers who, when they sell their home, they're going to have a large amount of equity. And when they immediately they said they're going to take all that equity and put it down on their next house. And I was like, wait a minute. Why don't we talk to Patrick first and see if there's a creative way where you can put $100,000 of that equity towards the new home and get into a mortgage payment that you're comfortable with, and then we can invest the other 100 or 200 that you're going to have in equity and start building an investor portfolio. Do you think that's
Right.
a
Well, I
good
think it's a
train of thought?
fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is that, real estate always is going to be doing well. I mean, you know, you always are going to see a good return on your investment. It's a tangible asset you can actually go and touch. It's not like stocks or whatever. And I don't say put all of your eggs in one basket, obviously, but if you look at people who may have invested 3 or 4 years ago, today
Right.
they just made $100,000-$200,000 more than
Right.
what they were probably making before. But I think a lot of investors hold off because they're not educated on what products are out there. I don't make enough money to qualify for this mortgage and that mortgage. How do I? Who's going to service the house? There's so many things that come up that they don't know. And my
Right.
first suggestion would be to go to like Jack's RIA or a real estate investor conference and sit in on those meetings. They have meetings every week almost. And you can just sit in there, you can talk to other investors, and you'll figure out how to find the houses, first of all. And then secondly, what products to put these people in, because there's so
What
many
was it?
different ones.
What were those conferences again?
Jack's RIA is one of them that we have here in Jacksonville. That it's, I think they meet maybe weekly, maybe bi-weekly, And it's normally just a bunch of real estate investors that are sitting there talking about houses that are opportunities right now.
And what was
Wholesalers
the
are
other
in
one?
there, real estate agents are in there.
What was the other site or the other
Um,
group?
oh, oh, hold on, I got it. I think I keep a list of them. There's Orlando, has a Central Florida real estate investors.
Can you send me that list, or is that
Yeah,
a
I'll send
proprietary?
you. I've got the Jacks RIA, I've got the Orlando, the Tampa, and the Miami ones.
Perfect. Yeah, send me those. Send me
Yeah.
those. Um, so going back to to that example I just gave you, if let's say it was me, right? Let's say I came to you and said, "Hey, I just sold my home. I'm about to. My goal is to buy a brand new construction house for my family. Um, and I made $300,000 in equity. I'm about to put $300,000 towards my new home. What do you tell me?"
I would say, it maybe put 20% down, or even, in some situations, only 5% you can get away with. And then, because the rates are going to be low, and then take that extra money and buy two or three other properties. You can do a investor up to 85% loan to value. I don't recommend that because it's a very high interest rate, but you can go to 80% or 75 is probably the sweetest spot for investor loans. And even if you don't make that much money, let's say you're super aggressive on your tax returns, there's a product that we have, which is it's called a flex program. And it's basically a stated income because all you're basing it on, it's a DSCR, debt service loan, that says if you're making X amount of dollars on this investment property, as long as the payment's not above that, we're good to go. And sometimes those rates are similar to what you would do on a full doc investor. It's really weird.
So they would base it on the potential income of
That's
the.
correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if your house is bringing in $3,000 a month and your payment's 2,800, they love that all day long. They'll do it. And you can do up to, I think, 15 properties on that program.
Wow. Wow. And what does that look like? So if I invested $200,000 into that, if I had
Um,
$200,000 of capital to work with there, what's an example of something I could do with that,
I
or
mean,
something you've seen?
you could look at a $300,000 home and only have to put down $60,000. So you could do that, what, almost five times, right?
Right.
You got to take into consideration closing costs, but 5 times 6 is 300. 60 is 300. So there, you're at $300,000 right there. You can get five properties at
Right.
20% down on each of them for 300,000. So now
And
you've
if
got, instead of putting $300,000 on one house, that's going to
right.
probably appreciate, let's just say 5 or 6%, in 30 years, let's just say it's going to be up in the 900s. Now you've got five of those properties. And now at 900, you got $4.5 million. I mean, hello, all day long.
Right. Right. It's a completely different mindset, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
a different mindset people have to get into to think that way.
And here's the
And
thing,
that's what I told him. I told him you're dealing with big numbers now. Like you're
right.
about to get some equity, and you know it's time to start thinking like someone who has that kind of money. It's
I'll
different.
give you
It's a
two
different.
scenarios of clients that I
Yeah.
currently have in the Jacksonville market. One of them is a guy I've been working with for the past 7 years. He is retired, he has a pension, he brings in about $50,000 a year in income. Okay. He and I have been working on this. He's now got six properties, all of which are about, each of them he picked up for between 150 and 200,000. And now each of those properties are worth well over 300,000.
Wow.
And he was able to do that six times on the same income, $50,000. So people who
Wow.
say I don't make enough income to buy that much real estate, that's not true. Because what we do is we take the appraisal. When we get the appraiser on the purchase, we ask the appraiser to do a rent schedule for us, and then when that rent schedule comes back, as long as it offsets the payment, the debt to income ratio for my client never changes.
And what kind of credit portfolio would, or what kind of credit would someone need to have to do that?
You just need a six. The best, I mean, to get the best rates, you have to have a higher credit score, let's say 700 and above, but you can go as low as a 640 credit score on most of these programs.
Wow. Wow. And what
It's the
about
cash that you need.
yeah, yeah.